Good morning. It being November 16, 2020, 11:30 a.m. This is the Acushnet Board of Assessors meeting. Is there a motion to open the meeting?
Motion open.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
With that, be kind enough to introduce yourself, starting with you, please, Lee.
Library Soars.
Nicole Poirier.
Mark Stenarizio.
Matt Lopez.
Kelly Costa.
With that, gentlemen, I don't know if you had the opportunity to read the minutes for approval from October 28, 2020,
Yes.
open and executive session.
Yes. Motion to approve.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Minutes is approved. And with that, we will hand it over to you, Kelly.
Okay, thank you. The purpose of the board's meeting today is to discuss the FY 2021 tax shift possibilities that the board will be recommending to the selectmen at their classification hearing scheduled for tomorrow, November 17th at 4 p.m. I'm going to go over some of the information with the board, and then collectively then you can discuss, and so we can give a decision to the Board of Selectmen. So let's look at what we're looking at for FY '21. The levy base for FY '20 was $18,027,438. Of course, we're allowed the 2.5 by Proposition 2.5 to adding the $450,686. We have FY '21 new growth approved, $734,390. I just want to make a comment here. Our normal average growth is about 300,000. We have a huge growth this year because of personal property with the utility companies, as well as a new solar farm coming on the tax rolls for the first time. We have a debt exclusion. To be specific, that is more of the financial world, but the information that I pull in for the debt exclusion is the bond or the money still owed for the police station, as well as the school reno, which allows our maximum levy for 2021 to be $19,658,581 that we, the town of Acushnet, will get through taxation. I know this is a little small, but the long and short of it is basically the assessed value difference by class, and I wish I could make this a little bigger. I don't know if this expands, and it doesn't. But anyway, let me go to the next slide. So basically, the easiest option to explain and to understand is as the calculations in the bottom are. The tax levy, like from the prior slide, was $19,658,581. The total approved value for the town already for FY '21 is $1,348,728,282. So if you divide those two numbers and then times it by 1,000, the projected tax rate, single rate, would be $14.58 per $1,000 of value. Now the worksheets that you have break that down with what was ratified by the Board of Selectmen for FY '20 being the first column, and then the column underneath being just that, the $14.58 number that I mentioned here, across the board with projected or averaged values across the top of the sheet. Increments of 225,000, the median value of the single-family home this year being 290,200, the average single-family home value being approximately $315,260, and then increments of about 25,000 moving forward to 425 on this worksheet. If the selectmen choose to ratify the same percent shift change as they did last year, which is 25%, the tax rate for single, or residential rather, would be moved from $13.94 to $14.11 per $1,000. And these are the same numbers that I was discussing, they're just broken down here too. So if the ratification was the same as last year, you're basically looking at 17 cents per $1,000 for the residential tax rate, and for CIP, commercial.
Increase, all right?
Increase.
Yeah.
And for CIP, commercial, industrial, personal property, would be approximately 27 cents per $1,000 of value. So again, these numbers just reflect what's on the worksheet, where the percent value and how the levy would be distributed. So for example, if we had a single rate, these percentages all make up 100%. So 88.6% of the value of the town is residential, 2.5 is commercial, 2.1 industrial, 6.6 personal property. Using these numbers, that's how we get a single tax rate with burden taxation. So let's use a number that we know, which is normally the 25% that the selectmen have been ratifying, I think for approximately the last 7 years, would be, this is the distribution, 85.8% residential, 3.1 commercial, 2.6 industrial, 8.3 personal property. As you see, the number lessens for residential, the other classes goes up because the tax rate would go up if we picked the shift, putting the burden more on commercial, industrial, personal property than on the residential.
This is at 120 or 125?
120 would be 97% residential,
Yep, okay, no.
I'm sorry, 86% residential, 3% commercial, 2.5% industrial, 7.9% personal property. With a 20%, if you look across, it's the same on the worksheet.
Yep.
Residential tax rate 14.20, commercial, industrial, personal property 17.49. So this is basically, it just reiterates what I said, we can't go more than 50% by the amendment that's been provided by the state. And the impact from these shifts on the various classes differ depending upon their percentage of total value. So basically, it's a math equation. We're taking some of the burden off of residential if the selectmen do not go with a single rate. They take some of that burden off of residential, disperse it between the commercial, industrial, and personal property classes because the bottom line number is still that 19 million that they have to collect from taxation to make the budget work.
Correct.
So
At 19,658,581, correct? Yep.
there it is. So
Fantastic.
that's the information, gentlemen.
I feel like I'm in school again. Nice class.
Thank you.
Can I go to the bathroom?
So basically, like I said, historically, the Board of Selectmen have ratified 25% tax shift for, I believe, the last, I want to say 7 fiscal years. That's been their history. The town of Acushnet has not had a single rate, as far as I know, since the 90s. They've always gone with a shift rate. And normally, what happens when communities do go with a shift rate, it's very rare that they divert back to a single rate. So I don't believe the selectmen would even consider that. Again, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but normally it is a shift of burden off the residential class. I don't know what the Board of Assessors wants to recommend to them this year based on this information.
We have such little commercial and industrial, so.
Just to keep in mind, again, the big contributors were the utility companies, Eversource. They do net book value. I believe this is going to be the last year that net book value is going to be approved by the Department of Revenue for value. So that was a large value increase. Basically, the new growth in value was $2.8 million this year in the utilities. They showed a big growth, but that's based on the numbers that they provide. Their net book value, they had to, I believe they were scrutinized where they had to come up with a better methodology on how they got their value than in prior years, because of the fact that I believe after 2021, it's going to be looked at not as a net book value, but an actual assessed value of what's there, the real property that's actually there. And the
So
solar
going on that
arrays,
notion, it'll stay at this higher rate potentially
but again, it's not new growth.
Right, so how does that affect the future, like with this?
Well, they'll still bounce off the levy, the same levy
Yeah.
for numbers, but I believe the personal property class will go down in value. So we won't collect as much money from that category.
Right,
The new growth factor of the 734,000, I can tell you, in all the years I've been the assessor, this is the highest growth number I've ever had. My projection for the FY '21 budget when they put it together was 250,000, so I'm well above that
Yeah.
number.
So I'm saying, how's it gonna affect next year? I mean,
And how it will
You
affect
know.
next year is basically a lower growth number
yeah,
will mean that they're gonna have to get it from another
we're gonna have to
source.
find, that's what I'm getting at,
Yeah.
is like,
But it's always a number that's built upon, this is
Yeah.
just a normal formula.
yeah. Mhm. That's gonna be interesting.
Also, just another thought, solar arrays, we have, I think, 2 other potential new projects that are coming in. The first year, of course, they get hit with a higher value because they're at no depreciation. I believe right now they're at a 5-year depreciation schedule, it may change to 7. That's more on the personal property side that we get most of the money because of what's there, the batteries, the panels, the,
Yeah, there's
I
no
don't know, in
working,
terms of the inverters or whatever.
there's no
they're called.
working
Correct.
cycles,
Well,
yeah.
the challenge is with that now, there's only 1, 2, I think 2 working solar arrays right now.
We have actually 3.
Yeah.
There is Katuitt on Main Street,
Yep,
Kearsarge Energy, which hit the tax rolls on the Catino property on Middle Road. That
Okay.
is a big
Yeah.
functioning solar
Yeah, it's a
farm.
big one.
And Wing Lane.
And Wing Road, Wing Lane, yeah.
Wing Lane, and the other side of Wing Lane, by the same company, will be on the tax rolls moving forward, I think sooner rather than later.
Right
We will
now.
have 4
there's a bunch that are
operational,
permitted, but they've not been.
correct, they're not assessed yet, if you will.
Correct.
Another factor to bring into consideration is a lot of these companies, and it's come across my desk, are looking for pilots, which are basically a payment in lieu of tax.
Yep.
So it won't be based on their actual assessed value, but it'll be a payment or an agreement that they come to the selectmen with that has to be ratified at town meeting. That is basically a canned number each year they can guarantee getting from these larger companies. I have not seen the town of Acushnet and the selectmen accept a pilot as of yet. We do have, we are very unique where there is a solar revenue fund in the town, which is basically what we collect from taxation from them kind of gets put in another quote-unquote pot, if you will, and it's distributed in a different way. I do not want to say something false. I'm not really sure
Yeah.
how that impacts the whole scope of
Yeah.
things.
But that Catino one went fast. That wasn't that long ago. We
It was
started
a
talking about
projected $7.2 million project last fall. They
Yeah.
moved very quickly
Wow.
and they went on there. Ultimately, they don't have to be functional to be assessed. The material was there.
that. Yeah,
So when you move forward with that and they did the inventory and we collected the information, they may, I can tell you this, be contender for request for abatement.
yeah.
Because they are really pushing for the pilot where they have in other communities. We'll see that once the
Yeah.
actual bills go out, if they come in to contest to see
Cross
what's
that bridge
going
when
on.
it comes, right?
They did not provide to be, on the benefit of the town, to my knowledge, they did not provide a form of list, which is what the assessors send out to validate what inventory the actual company or corporation has. Due to that, I believe their issue or their scope of appeal is very limited.
Yeah, makes sense.
Gentlemen, any suggestions? Kelly did a phenomenal job, thank you very much
Yes.
for putting that
Thank
all
you.
together.
Very nice. He's been reading the small print for sure.
Yeah, I want to see if I can expand this. I know tomorrow,
No, that's good.
That's fine, yeah, no. we can
this
read that.
this one is is legible. This is basically the meat and potatoes of it all. Okay,
Kelly, on the
Get that
industrial, they went up $3 billion on the industrial.
where are you looking?
3 billion?
The first sheet,
Can't be.
on the industrial, went up 11%.
Yep,
That's a
That's the
value or
utility.
ad? Oh,
that's the
util-
utilities, yes, that's the utilities.
And that's the
That's
numbers
a
they
real
give us.
estate utility, industrial. The personal property impact is more what I'm talking about, the solar farms, which is the panels and their equipment that's assessed as personal property.
And they came up with the numbers?
We had physical inventory go out from the representative of the company that we use, Patriot Properties. They actually did do inventory on the Kearsarge property.
That's a lot of money.
That's a big jump.
It's a huge jump.
That's a huge jump.
I mean, it's nice, the growth is very nice,
Yeah.
but hopefully it won't have
Continuum
a
would be
domino
nice.
effect
Yeah,
in
that's it.
future years where we're not collecting
We're
that
not
growth. But
collecting.
I can say, Mark, you're on the planning board, there are a lot of solar projects on the horizon that I think will be approved. And
Yep.
they're really big.
A majority of them are approved, the challenge is they can't hook up to Eversource.
Okay, with that being said, they're
Maybe-
approved, they can't, but in other words, they haven't come to fruition, if you will.
Correct.
So they really can't be, they're not taxable.
And their permits last 2 years, after 2 years, then they have to
Then they have to
re-permit the whole
restart the
product.
whole thing
That's
again.
right.
I know the other side of Wayne Lane, they're trudging forward, and they actually added to the one that was already existing, they added a little bit more hardware to that side.
Yep.
And they are moving forward to develop the other side as well.
Just what we want. It's in my backyard, I don't want it. Not my backyard, but across the street.
So what we have is 88% residential, and the rest are all, well, commercial, industrial, personal property, 12%.
That's with no shift. That's number one. If you went with 20% shift, you're looking at 86% residential, 3% commercial, 2.5 industrial, and 7.9 personal property, which would be this line right here. I touch it and something happens.
No, it won't let that screen.
I'll make a motion to go to the 120, 120%.
That's where I'm at, so.
Is there a second?
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimously selected that we will
This will be
tell
presented
us
to the,
selectmen tomorrow
yep,
at
to
what
the Board
time?
of Selectmen tomorrow at 4 o'clock. I believe their meeting is via Zoom. Hopefully the graphics, the optics, I can share with them. We're working out those kinks now with the technology, and Mark, you said you would be
Yep.
here with me.
Well, if we come down here, we can do it.
I can, but I'm not sure how the presentation will go via Zoom. That's the thing, with the other members being not physically here. I'm sure we'll figure that out. If not, they have the information in hard copy, which is not as detailed.
Okay, with that, we don't have any new appointments. We have to go into executive session for
No,
nothing. We're all set.
and just a reminder, our next regularly scheduled meeting is December 2nd at 6:30 PM, in person in this room.
6:30 PM, December 2nd.
Already have that.
Right.
Yeah.
With
We
that,
good?
Just throw it out to the board members as well. Of course, I'm about, well, not me, but the town is about, from our normal schedule of getting a certified tax rate, we're about 3 weeks behind schedule. There were a lot of contributory factors to that. Town meeting was this Saturday. Of course, they have to account for whatever was spent on the recap for this year, because we're in FY '21. With that being said, I am putting a little bit of heat on the people that need to make this happen, because ultimately, when they're done and the Department of Revenue gets to review the information and hopefully certify the tax rate, then the proverbial ball is in my court to
Yeah.
make these bills happen.
Everybody's behind and you're behind them. Yeah, you
Correct.
You gotta push.
So, I'm making a big push forward of an effort to do that. With that being said, the December 2nd meeting, now, the Board of Assessors needs to sign the warrant for the collection of the real estate and personal property for the January 1st or third quarter actual. I don't believe the commitment will be ready by December 2nd. Basically, what I'm leading to is we may have to meet and have it signed again, because the treasurer collector and the accountant's office will not accept
Yeah.
the data without the Board of Assessors signing off on it.
Yeah.
So I'm just throwing that out
So
there. We
we,
may have to have a meeting, not with a lot on the
everything
agenda.
that you have done is up to date and up to schedule. Now it's in somebody else's court.
Oh, well, for the recap, the financial information is not complete. All of the Division of Local Services, which is the assessor side, has been approved. Now, moving forward, I get, the accounting side has to be completed, and then I have to submit it, and then the Department of Revenue reviews it, and then the tax rate is certified. So there's a lot to get
And we're
there.
already 3 weeks behind.
Yes, sir.
How much longer do you estimate that?
After town meeting, what happened this Saturday, I can tell you that I have sent out an email to all the parties involved to say we are on the, not the 11th hour, but the 13th hour to get this done.
And there's no extension to do a culvert on this, it's just to get the
No,
bill out,
because we have
just
to get the
bill out.
actual bills out January 1, we're not going on a pro forma or estimated real, recap. So this might amount to my having to work Christmas week.
Okay, well, I hope all the other boards can get all this stuff together so we can get it, we're 3 weeks behind, so we'd appreciate it if anybody in those boards could, get their stuff together and get it so we can get our stuff together, so we can have it done by
The appropriate time.
December 2nd. We would muchly appreciate it. We have a great Thanksgiving coming up before we know it.
Next Thursday.
Wow, that came quick.
Sure does, it comes very quick.
With that, is there anything else, ladies and gentlemen?
Good.
Lee? Nikki, thank you for our new secretary. Nikki's doing a great job. We appreciate it. Thank you very much for coming up to bat.
Thank you for having me come up to bat.
Matt, you all set? Anything? you want
Motion
say?
to adjourn.
Kelly? Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Have a great Thanksgiving, folks.